What's up, chat? Welcome back to the stream. It's Monday. We are indulging in a little bit of mayhem today. We've got a bunch of majors that went down this past week. A couple that didn't go down because of the snowstorm that ended up happening this weekend in continental US, which is unfortunate. We get less results than we would otherwise have had. But inclement weather aside, we did have some big ones, especially on the west coast of the U.S., as well as huge results from Australia. If you watched my video this morning, you know that two large, I believe, major level events. I guess one was like a large GT. There was a 70-person GT CanCon Open, and then there was Uprising Adelaide, which was an 8-round, almost 200-player major, one of the larger events for Australia. Full stop. And yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Or these major level events. There was an entire major that I didn't cover on my video yesterday, and also I didn't really cover the results from Adelaide because I missed them. West Coast US events tend to be a little bit tough for me because I'm usually tabulating my results around 7 or 8 p.m. US Eastern time, and if you're running a full 6-round event on the West Coast, that event will usually run until like midnight, close to midnight my time. So a lot of times if I've put all my results together and I'm editing the Best Armies video, the event will still be going at the time in that. Sometimes I add them in at the end, and sometimes I'm just too far along in the process. And unfortunately that happened this time with the Wet Coast GT, which was still ongoing at the time that I was completing it. However, I think we're going to talk about it today because the results, the final placements were insane. We also saw some crazy events, results from that Uprising Adelaide. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's hop in. And I first want to talk about Uprising because I did make a boo-boo when I assembled my results from the weekend. I did not realize, I should have probably read the event schedule. I did not realize that it went 8 rounds, and it continued through Monday, which is a bizarre schedule. I've never seen. I guess I don't think I should say I've never seen that. I think I've seen events in like UK or Europe do that. Almost 100% of the time in the US anyway, you run Friday through Sunday if you're going to run 3 days. It's so rare for an event to end on Monday. So I just had no idea. So I looked at the events. I saw Tau was top. Jono Bishop here was top at the end of Sunday, at bottom, end of round 6. He was 6-0 with the best tiebreaker, so we talked about him. There was also Space Marines. Who fucking cares, dude? And then apparently they played 2 additional games. Unfortunately, they were placed first and second because I guess round 6, Grey Knights tied with World Eaters to not make top 2 cut. So they manually paired these 2 players together. And unfortunately, Grey Knights went undefeated, but didn't win the event because they weren't in the top placement here. Unfortunate, but we get to talk about an undefeated Grey Knights. This is very cool. So the event that they listed ended up winning the event. It's also Skulls from Gladius Task Force. Who is surprised by this at the moment here? Shocker, it's a Gladius Task Force. I guess it's like a slightly more interesting Gladius Task Force. There's some funny stuff going on. It's double impulsors. We have Kato Sicarius, so we have a scout impulsor. Oh no, this is Kato Sicarius, the new one, who doesn't give you assault. Okay, that's interesting. It's double Victrix Honor Guard, so we do have a Kato unit. We have a jump pack captain with Honor Vehement. Does he have a squad? Well, it's a Vanguard Veteran squad, so a little utility beat stick squad. I like that. That's pretty cool. Impulsor, we have a Flamer Impulsor brick. Plus we have a brick for the Kato unit to go into, and they can react to move in and out of it. But this is Kato, not Captain, so it doesn't get Scout, doesn't get Assault, which is interesting, I guess. But it has the superior version of his reactive effect, so you're all in there. There is a Scouty squad. Oh, I guess you could put it in. Are there incursors? No. So I guess I don't know if you're gonna. Yeah, I don't know what you would do there. Currently, Cursed Legion is a 61% winner. We're actually just having a discussion about win rates of the Discord server. Where like also Space Marines are listed as like a 45% win rate. Okay. If you look at like individual rates, I don't know how much that actually tells you, to be fair. So yeah, interesting. I don't know. It's Ultramarines mostly. I do like the Impulsor brick. The Impulsor Infernus Marine squad. I think that's pretty cool. The cool thing there you could do is you could Storm Fire them if you're in Devastator Doctrine. So they go to AP2. So you have AP2 ignore cover on the Infernus Marines, and if you take gun Impulsors, which we did, we took Iron Hair Scout Tanner release, they shoot 22 times. You can shoot the Oath target, so they're +1 to wound. They wound mostly things on 5s. And then go to AP1 ignore cover. With 22 attacks, it's enough to like dent something. I don't know. It's pretty good. If you shoot the Oath target, this unit will probably like half kill a vehicle or something like that, or clip a whole unit or something. So anyway, you have to sort Space Marine win rate by elo. Yeah, I think there's. I keep wondering if I should like talk about this in a video or something, but like, there's this huge problem with Space Marines now, and I mean we've touched on it in the past, but I know that as soon as I make any mention of it, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're just hating on Space Marines," which is not the case. I think that the diversity of the Space Marine faction is interesting, but the problem is that the way that the game currently treats Marine like chapters, it does them a disservice to the point that you can't independently assess like Imperial Fist, for example, without having to discuss supplement chapters and Ultramarines. And it's such a huge issue in the game right now, where it's like Space Marines just currently means Ultramarines. And sometimes Salamanders, but there's like a huge breadth of subfactions you're just not addressing at all. And I think the only way to do that is split Space Marines into multiple factions. The other thing, too, that Space Marines do is because not only are they representing so many subfactions, but also like such a huge proportion of the release cadence of the game. My cats are fighting right now. Lilac, my gray cat, has been a huge, just an insane bully to Inky all morning. It's been crazy. She's just been chasing Inky around and yelling at her, and I don't understand what's happening. And Inky's like clearly, poor baby. She's hiding under the bed. She's like clearly been like gun shy about it. She's like scared now, even though she's literally like 2 or 3 times the size of the other cat. I don't know. Cats are weird. Inky's just such a sweet baby. That's why. But the like Space Marines take up so much of the release schedule for 40K, as well as so much of like the face value of 40K, that anything that Space Marines do is like unnaturally, I guess, artificially like amplified, which is why like in addition to being like a weird from a gameplay standpoint, where as soon as Space Marines are tuned, in the entire game becomes Space Marines, right? Like all we talk about right now is like how do you beat Victrix Honor Guard? Not because like Victrix Honor Guard are like they are way overpowered, right? Or like Ultramarines in general. I don't want to say just Victrix, but like Ultramarines in general are I think, in my opinion, clearly the strongest army. But like also because everyone has a Space Marine, like they just become this like oppressive threat. If it was like Genestealer Cult or something where 6 people play them and they're too strong. I think a good example is this like Recon Element, right? Recon Element's like clearly incredible. Like Neo the Fish, the stuff he's able to do with that detachment is fucking nuts. But like he's the only person who plays it, so like it runs under the radar. If one person played Ultramarines, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But because Space Marines are so pushed, everyone plays them, and so there's such this better representation. And it becomes this issue when you amalgamate all the Space Marines together to the point that all you have to do in order to play Ultramarines is just to take Martius Calcar, and then suddenly like your army is an Ultramarine army. I think the way that they have to be split into multiple factions. That's the only way that the game, I think, like continues to appropriately address the Space Marine like problem, where you just have different codexes and like different points values for them. And I know it's like a lot of work and stuff, but like, come on, if Space Marines are going to be literally 50% of your model range, probably put the work in. I don't know. That's like a bit of a rant. I don't know if that's like worth putting into a piece of content because I'm just going to get hate for it, but I don't know. That's also like the stuff with, you know, all the stupid like culture war bullshit around like female Space Marines. That's the reason why all of that exists is because Space Marines are such a big part of the IP. That it's like, oh, you know, you have other factions that have like female representation and stuff, but like also none of those are 50% of the whole game. So it's like, obviously you have to treat those things a little bit differently. It's very stupid. Space Marines are like the oppressive over presence of Space Marines, I think, is a problem for a bunch of different in a bunch of different angles here. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. That's silly. There's no hate in 40K. Only love. It's happy rainbows and stuff. Sorry to play Necrons, but now everyone's complaining. Yeah, unfortunately, Necrons are like the issues with Necrons currently. I mean, Necrons I think are clearly too strong also, but like the issues are much easily suppressed, right? It's like you're like Catan shards are a little too expensive, man, and like maybe they should bracket. Like, why am I doing 25 damage to something for it not to get 80 negative repercussions and then heal back to full? Maybe we bracket those guys, or we like slap some points on them, and then Necrons are back to where they were. They just have some like better beat sticks. Cool, I like that. Space Marines is so tough because you're like, oh man, nerf every specific Ultramarines unit, and you're like, okay, well Salamanders are still there, and you're like, okay, well nerf all the Salamanders, and you're like, well now Blood Angels are here, and you're like, fuck me, why do these all use the same codex? Why does one faction have access to exactly the same tools as another one, but like with a different character? It's like, I don't know, man. It's so difficult. As soon as you tune Space Marines at all, I have no idea how you fix it without separating out all the factions and addressing them individually. Who knows? Who knows, chat? Space Marines have the issue of faction abandonment because you could swap. Yeah, that's another problem too. I think like, regardless of whatever, I guess in the upper, like the cutting edge of the competitive meta, if you are a Space Marine player, like a dedicated Space Marine player, and all you do is play Space Marines abstractly, and you own all the units, then like you can swap between sub-factions really easily. There's no way to prevent that. That's just how it's going to be. As long as all of the chapters share the same unit pool, that's just how it's going to happen. And it is what it is. Anyway, I don't know. That's a whole discussion about Space Marines. Let's talk about a Space Marine adjacent army. Get off of this for a sec. Yellow Ultramarines, yeah. My favorite is Blue Angels, which is every time Blood Angels are good, there's just a bunch of Ultramarine players with a bunch of jetpack guys being like, these are Blood Angels. You're like, yeah, that is legal. But also, we are stretching the definition. There's no way to prevent that, though. As soon as you start relegating people's colors games, the game immediately implodes. You cannot do that. There's no way. All right. I want to talk about Grey Knights. Let's talk about Grey Knights. Let's talk about Rhys Cunningham, who's playing some Warpbane Task Force. Does he have any Land Raiders? That's the first question. He has a Storm Raven gunship. Let's go. So this was the only undefeated list from Uprising Adelaide, tied in round 6, but did not drop a game other than that, unlike the both players in the finals who ended up X and 1. Rhys was running Triple Brotherhood Librarians. I've talked about these guys a couple different times. They have a lot of huge benefits in this detachment in particular. I don't know where I put my data sheet. Record. What did I do? Oh my god. Grab the data sheet for y'all real quick here. So, they have a lot of benefits in Warpbane Task Force, the biggest one being their Vortex of Doom. Also, they get 2 guns, which is cool. They can take a bolter and the Vortex. So they shoot kind of a lot of times. They get rerolls from Warpbane Task Force. They're good utility. It's a single 40 mil base, so they can deploy. They can set up in weird places and then jump around the table. And then also they're shooting like a bunch of blast 2 damage with hit rerolls. So they're good against opposing utility units. So they're good at scoring. They're good at shooting. 3 of them with their powers combined, if they don't shoot themselves out of line of sight, can like blow up one enemy unit. So you're like kind of trading 1 for 1 in a lot of cases with big stuff. And they can apply sort of additional damage in addition to your Nemesis Dread Knights, which we do have 2 of, as well as in this case, your Storm Raven gunship. We've got a Strike Squad. We've got Castle and Crow. We've got double Interceptors, double Nemesis Dread Knights, Big Purifier, Little Purifier, Little Purifier, Storm Raven gunship, Kalade's Assassin. So we do have a little bit of Agent of Vect, Lord of Deceit aura, plus the Storm Raven gunship. You can in and out the Interceptors very nicely from the gunship, and the gunship itself, especially the Grey Knights version, which has improved stats over the the regular version, which, to be fair, I think is neat. I think it would be interesting if you ended up with individual subfactions that had improved versions of their unique units. Suddenly, if we're talking about Space Marines, isn't that cool? Should not Imperial Fists have superior Sternguard veterans and Vindicators than Ultramarines? You know what I'm saying? Whereas Ultramarines should have better Intercessor squads or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, chat. I'm just speaking my mind. This guy, in this case, is running Storm Strike missiles, heavy plasma cannon, twin multi-melta. You get a 3-shot, 3 damage blast. Is it really 3 flat blasts? That's awkward. Is that... Wait a minute. I think I said previously that there was only one unit in the game that had a non-functional blast characteristic. Is this the other one? I thought it was just the Warlord Titan. Or Reaver. I guess Reaver also has it, probably. Yeah, no. No. Reaver's got it correctly. Is it just the Warlord Titan's Apocalypse Launchers? Yeah. So, so the reason that this is silly, chat, is that Blast doesn't work on a flat attack characteristic. No one knows quite why. But the Blast rule explicitly says that it adds to your attack value after you have determined your attack's characteristic for a random attack weapon. If you don't have a random attack weapon, I don't know how it works. Probably, you should just be able to add on top. But I don't know why it specifies that it has to be random attacks in the rule. It's very stupid. You could just have it be a keyword that works like the way you think it does, but it is what it is, chat. I don't know. It's not that difficult to rule around. It's incredibly stupid, but that's very funny. I think, does regular Storm Raven also have a 2 damage plasma cannon? If we go to the Space Marine Storm Raven gunship. I know that its Storm Strike missiles are worse as well. But I think that they just decided to run with it because nobody played Grey Knights, so it was like fine. Their twin plasma cannon is... Oh, it is. It is 3 damage. But their Storm Strike missiles are 3 instead of D6 plus 2, which is much worse. Also, it shoots D3 times instead of 3, which is the correct, probably the actual correct number. Either case, it's a lot of shooting, and you get rerolls to hit from the detachment ability, and you get a good place for your interceptors to hop in and out of. You can even project the interceptors really far, because you can embark them, or you can start them embarked. You can run the Storm Raven 20 inches. You can drop the interceptors, shoot, move again to get mobility secondaries, or to run them back into the gunship. You could just project a lot of threat. It's just good. It's just a good unit. Plus, it's hard to kill. That's a nice thing for Grey Knights to have. Not something they do that often. A lot of times they're just guys standing there. It's a whole thing. Anyway, chance. The Reaver had it on one of its weapons. Oh, does it still? I thought it did, but I guess I was wrong. I don't know. Cool to see the Storm Raven gunship back on the battlefield. But with that, chat. Let's talk about Wet Coast GT, I think. Incoming aircraft meta. I mean, we talked about Harry Dan a lot. We're going to talk about Harry Dan a ton this week because I've got him. He's standing behind me. He's ready to go. His little friend, Norn Emissary, which I just built and I will never play with because it's terrible. But Harry Dan is ready to go. He's excited. He's excited to play some games. I built a list I'm finally happy with Harry Dan, and I'm excited to showcase it. I'm going to be playing it after this stream is complete, by the way. I'm going to go over to Twitch. We're going to rock some Harry Dan test games. But I've been playing around with a couple different builds. I think I've settled on one that I really like. So it will be awesome. Been cheating me at 1 per value per 5 models. Yeah, I think it's... I'll pull up the rule. Just I don't know if it's ever been errata. I don't think it has. I'll pull up the rule, and it's also one thing that just might be like a timing input. But I believe it's very similar to the old issue that psychic weapons had, where if they ever equipped a psychic, if they ever equip a psychic weapon to a non-psyker model, it doesn't work. That was how it worked on release. Like, it didn't shoot. Like, it was only psychers that could make attacks with psychic weapons, which is bizarre, because then you could never keyword psychic weapon to a non-psyker model ever, even if you wanted anti-psychic defense to work on it, which they did on printing with Tzeentch Flamers. The Flamers of Tzeentch couldn't shoot their gun on printing because they weren't psyker keyworded, but they had a psychic weapon because they shoot, like, warp fire. Stupid. Incredibly dumb. And I believe that this is, like, basically the same. Yes, so it is... it's like here... It specifies that blast weapons always make a random number of attacks. Each time you determine how many attacks are made with a blast weapon, add one to the result for each 5 models in the unit. So, like, first of all, it should, like, based on this, I don't, like, why do you even say this? Why even make this, why even put this in here? Like, determined number of attacks could just be like, I have an attack characteristic of 3, so I have 3 attacks. But I don't know if there's ever a determined attacks, like, step in an attack sequence until, like, if you are making a flat number. Like, I don't, this just, like, doesn't, you know, like, matter. Like, I don't think there's, like, a timing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm cutting this off with my weird cropping. I'm sorry, I apologize, chat. I don't think there's, like, a timing for, like, assessing your attack volume, because you always just make the same number of attacks when you're shooting a ranged weapon. You can't split attacks with more than one model. In case it's like targets to declare which models target with which weapons. Any of those weapons are more than one thing, and you do stuff. You now make attacks using a ranged weapon. It will make attacks equal to the attack's characteristic. I guess it would be like at the start of the make attack sequence, you could like rule that you add the blast characteristic, but the only time in my I believe the way it works is that the only time you determine an attack characteristic is when you have a random characteristic, which would make sense because they specify that blast weapons always have a random number of attacks. But you could just not say that. Like, you could just say each time you attack with a blast weapon, add 1 to I guess you're adding to a roll result. So yeah, you must be rolling in order for blast to work, because it is a result. So there has to be a roll involved for your attack characteristic. Yeah. So I guess, like, I think explicitly it just cannot ever add to a flat attack characteristic. But you could just make it not do that. I don't understand why you would say this. It's, like, so silly. It artificially restricts where you can place the blast keyword to the point where it does actually break some weapons, like the plasma cannon, which for some reason shoots flat 3 attacks and does not add attacks for blast. I don't know. It just, I guess the only thing it does is that it prevents you from shooting into your own engagement range. That's all. It's strictly a downside. So it's not that it's useless, I suppose, on, like, the Apocalypse launcher and the Storm Raven. It's just strictly worse for you. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. That rule has always, like, just made me laugh. It's so rare that it matters that much. It's like, well, I'm shooting it to 10 Terminators without Storm Shields or something, and so, like, the extra 2 attacks are, like, hyper relevant. But it's like something. If you're going to an event, you should, like, clarify with the TO. Like, is my flat weapon profile supposed to have blast? And it's also, like I mentioned, it's only, like, that one. That's, like, that one weapon, like some Apocalypse stuff that, like, you can't play in normal games anyway. I'm sure there's some legend units that have it too, that they just have forgotten about and never looked at the data sheet again. But it's like, it's so pants on head to me that, like, I don't know why you would ever write a rule this way. To make it, like, explicitly non-functional. I don't know. And if you wanted to make a rule that all it did was prevent you from shooting into your own engagement, you could just have a rule that says that, cumbersome or something, that says you can't fire into a thing you're engaged, even if you have big notes never tire. But I don't know. I don't know, chance. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, chance. What if your weapon had a D1 number of attacks? You roll, but the result is always a 1. Imagine if they had like a cutout in the core concept section where they're like they talk about how to determine like results, and like for a D3 you can have the results of a D6 and round up, and like for a D1 divide the result of a D6 by 1/6 and round up to the nearest integer. So you're just like always a 1. That would be good. I would appreciate that. That would be funny. Anyway, Chant. Let's talk about some other stuff. Simplified, not simple. Yeah. That's definitely a thing, like the psychic weapons we talked about. It's definitely a thing that they wrote without thinking about it, where they're just like, we'll make every blast weapon a random attack characteristic, and that'll just be the rule. And then they just have forgotten that rule exists. I have no doubt that no single person on the developing team has read the blast rule since the edition came out. They just assume that they know how it works, which is that it adds to your attack characteristic against large units. They didn't realize that it only does so when you shoot random shots. A blast profile for melee, that would be sick. Yeah, like what if blast had like, what if you called it something else? I mean, blast is good, but if you called it like, I don't know, area of effect or something, and then you could also put it on melee attacks. So then you don't tie it necessarily to like a thing exploding, in which case I understand why it doesn't work in engagement, because you're there and you're exploding up and you're blowing up. But if you're like area of effect, you could use it like as a sweep attack kind of thing. And you could use it with like the Nightbringer's like big scythe could like do more attacks into large units. That'd be sick. That'd be so cool. 11th edition. Write this down. People in the temp team that are watching my stupid live streams. What if blast weapons had a template? Get that out of here. Don't put that evil on me. Absolutely horrible. All right. We're going to move over to the West Coast GT chat. This was a big major level event in the on the West Coast of Canada, Burnaby, British Columbia. 185 players played 6 rounds, ended with 3 undefeateds and a bunch of Thousand Sons, apparently. The poor Thousand Sons. They're almost back. They're like, we're so close to being back. Just let us go undefeated. No. You will fail your Kabbalistic ritual checks at least once per tournament and lose the game as a result. On the spot. I will double move myself, 3d6 it, +1 from the Mutilate Vortex Beast, reroll it, fail, take 3 mortal wounds, lose the game. You love to see it. The Thousand Sons Codex is the best, by the way.
At Bucket Off Steel Sybil donated 6 Canadian dollars and 99 cents through Super Chat. Do you have any tips for World Eaters players against Cursed Legion? My buddy is convinced he auto-loses into my Destroyer Necrons, only 1 Catan.
That's an interesting question. I guess my question would be, like, what in Cursed Legion is particularly antithetical to, like, melee archetypes? You have, like, -1 to hit. You can get bonuses when you shoot people. You can shoot and declare charge when you advance. I guess it'd be like Amintar's like kind of a piece of shit. And the reactive charge. But the reactive charge is less good if your opponent is a melee archetype. But I think having access to fight first and heroic intervention is very strong. I think part of it might be that... I mean, honestly, everything in this whole detachment besides a Catan Shard should die to a Forge Fiend, right? So that might be the first one. Is like, maybe we're back to Forge Friends. And the Forge Fiends, we saw Undefeated World Eaters this week was double Forge Fiend. And as soon as you're firing into these big Scorpic units or these big Locust Destroyer units, a Forge Fiend absolutely ruins them. I guess like you also have like the what's the word? You have like the big Wraith unit that can have the bonus, the strength bonuses too, which is like kind of problematic. But I believe that a lot of, especially like Berserker Warband builds, will have the output, especially because they have a lot of lethals, into stuff like Catan Shard and even into like midweight units like Wraiths, that they are able to actually kill these units. I guess the question is you have to deal with the Amintar. I have no idea what you do about that in particular. You can hold up like a fight on death against him, I guess. So maybe you just like you play fight on death more aggressively in order to get value against him. But it is a problem, I think, for melee matchups. Could also wait for him to go up in points. That probably helped too. He's so cheap. So I don't know. I think probably focusing slightly harder on ranged attacks in order to avoid the reactive melee stuff is probably the way to go. I don't know if like Cursed Legion is like. I mean, it hasn't had that much success. Starshatter Arsenal is like far and away so far the most consistent archetype. So, I don't. We'll see. We'll see if people like pull up on Cursed Legion, but it seems like it's fine. I don't know if it's like hugely, massively good. Forge Fiend's always good. Yeah, and I think they're good too, especially because like a lot of the meta is like 3 wound heavy infantry right now, right? We're seeing all these like Terminator builds from everyone popping out, like Blightlord Terminator bricks, and you know these Space Marine Terminator bricks and Victrix Honor Guard. It's all 3 wound heavy infantry. Forge Fiend eats that alive. They love to see that stuff. Pantheon have a crazy win rate? It might, but I think it's like a lower table because like, we're seeing like. I mean, Necron win rates in general right now are crazy high, but the problem is that the stuff that's going undefeated is like largely Star Shatter and Star Shatter adjacent builds. There's very little in the way of like, that's like the majority, generally speaking. I think like last week, like every single undefeated Necron was Star Shatter Arsenal. Just about. I think it was like 1 Awakened maybe, but it's a lot of Star Shatter Arsenal right now. All right. Should we talk about some stuff? Should we talk about some West Coast pairings or West Coast pairings? West Coast GT, excuse me. Which 1,000 Suns vehicles detachment had more gas? Seems fun to combine tanks with magic. It does seem good, but it's I mean, it's the issue that the detachment has had for the entire time, which is that they keep writing this detachment ability that's like hyper parasitic. And this army ability, excuse me, and because you have to get use of the army ability, which means you have to bring Psychers, and because it's still random, so you not only are required to bring Psychers to make it work, but you're also required to bring redundancy for that mechanic, for those roles, which means that you need either Magnus or you need to play in Grand Coven or you need both. And if you don't do either one of those things, your core army ability gets so much worse and so much less consistent that your entire game plan has like the chance to fall apart at any time. It's honestly just bad design. And that was kind of with the problem that they had at the beginning, where it was like you could only ever bring Psychers because Psychers were the only way to interact with the army mechanic. It was less like that in previous editions when you had a psychic phase and you were limited on the number of psychic powers you could cast. So you only brought casters up to the point where you could cast the psychic powers that you needed. Now, because you need those, the only way to interact with that ability is with your psychers, things can go really badly. I don't know. It is what it is, chat. It's not ideal. That said, 1,000 Suns were never like hyper competitive, at least in 9th edition. They were okay, but they weren't like insane. Let's talk about some Genestealer cults. Genestealer cult's actually one of the higher performing armies right now. It's just that nobody plays them. It's like 1/10 of the other play rate of the other factions. Alex McDougall, who was, I think, formerly from Art of War. I don't know if he's still an Art of War member. Running Final Day. So this is the detachment where you can combine your Tyranids and your awesome Genestealer cult stuff together to get bonuses. You get +1 to hit when you attack something near a Tyranid unit. And Tyranids can get +1 to hit and heal themselves by eating Genestealer cultists at the end of your movement phase. You love it. The theme on point. So we have an Inhuman Integration Benefictus, which gives his unit, in addition to lethal hits, it also gives them sustained hits when they target something that's spotted by a Tyranid unit. So the Benefictus has lethal built in. You get lethal sustain. On a big unit of usually neophyte hybrids like this one that's right here that has a billion ranged attacks. We have a Patriarch with Enraptured Damnation, so you can't overwatch him, so he can kind of go do whatever he wants. And then we have a Reductus Saboteur and an Abominant for a little bit of anti-tank, a little bit of punchy. We have only 4 Achilles Ridge Runners. We're light on the Achilles Ridge Runners this time around. 1 with a Survey Auger and a Mortar for spotting. And then we have 3 more with heavy mining lasers for actual shooting. These guys get the +1 to hit when targeting stuff that is spotted by a Tyrannid. And then the spotter gives them +1 ballistic skill, so they go to hitting on 2s. Very consistent. We love to see it. 2 Goliath Rock Grinders. Plus 2 Metamorph squads. Pure Strength G-Star squad for the Broodlord to hop into, so you get early game aggro. And then we have some actual anti-tank from hyper-adapted Raveners. And there is also a stratagem here. If we use Avenge the Star Children, you can get +1 to hit and wound against something that destroys a character for all your Genestealer cults units. So the hyper-adapted Raveners being not only Vanguard invaders, but also characters with anti-vehicle means that they fulfill like every role you need. You want to be able to trigger that ability to get +1 to hit and wound, so you can your like las cannons can key off. You want something that can cut through high toughness, which the hyper-adapted Raveners with the anti-vehicle 5 and twin-linked can do. And you want and you're able to take them. I don't know, that was the last thing. Plus they deep strike naturally, so you can rapid ingress and do rapid ingress plays with them. Pretty neat. Plus Death Leaper has the same effect. It's a lone operative. It's hard to kill. And then once you go up and kill her, you can avenge the Star Children on whatever killed the Death Leaper to unlock that bonus too. So it all kind of works together. It's good stuff. Plus you just play a Genestealer cult and Tyrannid, like, you know, scoring gameplay where you just score a bunch of games, which is pretty sweet. 1 million las cannons? Well, there's, I don't know, 3d3. I don't know. It's a reasonable number of las cannons. I guess there's heavy mining lasers on the rock grinders too. I guess there's 5d3, so it's like 10. That's all right. That's an okay number of las cannons. Moving on. Talk about some Grey Knights. Oh, more Grey Knights. Let's go. David Corrin running very similar. The David Ozawa tech, the Brotherhood Librarian tech is like really catching on. Everybody's on it now, which is cool to see. Running Warpaint Task Force, Triple Brotherhood Librarian, Tech Marine, Castle and Crow, Nemesis Dread Knight, 3 more Nemesis Dread Knights, non-Grandmasters, plus 2 Strike Squads, Big Purifier Squad, Double Little Purifier Squad, and that's it. That's simple stuff. Simple enough, Chance. That's what we call a pretty normal Warpaint Task Force. Very nice to see. First of all, huge results from Grey Knights this week. It seems like they have, especially for being an army that has relatively low play rate, it seems like they're sort of very slowly coming into their own. And especially too, where like they tend to struggle against really high armor stuff. And outside of Marines, there's not a lot of like this crazy high armor skew that's seeing play. They do struggle against Catan shards because they have a lot of like high volume 2 damage shooting, so that's problematic, but they're very good at killing all the other stuff in a Necron army. And if you're not focused on the Nemesis Grandmasters, Catan shards themselves are kind of inefficient at killing the Dread Knights back. We did watch this matchup in the Black Crusade online finals, or the Black Crusade Open finals a couple weeks ago, and the Deceiver turns out is really good against Nemesis Grandmasters. So he just shoots him for like 8 mortal wounds a turn with his anti-character gun. And they're just like, this sucks. I hate this. Why am I here? Why am I here just to suffer? Unfortunate for him. But against the other stuff, invulnerable saves is usually the defense against those. If you don't roll devastating wounds on the Nightbringer Scythe, or you don't put the wound through on his ranged attack, he's not really doing anything, and strong save characteristics can certainly help there. So I don't know. It's not all bad. It's not great, but it isn't all bad. But the thing that we really want to talk about, which I'm very excited for, is Brendan McKenzie over here running Adepta Sororitas in this crazy Hallowed Martyrs list with a bunch of Arco-Flagellants. What is happening? So it's Hallowed Martyrs. I think somebody was saying earlier, it's like you would assume that this would be that this would be Penitent Host because it's a bunch of Penitent units, but it's actually Hallowed Martyrs. The reason for that is that the Hallowed Martyrs detachment ability absolutely sends Arco-Flagellants through the roof. Arco-Flagellants are like an insane number of... let's grab their profile real quick here. They are an insane number of AP0, like mid-strength melee attacks. They do have their Extremis trigger keyword, so they can go up to 6 attacks per model. So the unit, if you've lost a model, is attacking 54 times. One model down, you're +1 to hit because of the detachment ability. As soon as you lose more than that, you get +1 to wound, and suddenly these guys are absolutely mincing people. It is a bit tougher to get +1 to wound, but the +1 to hit's very easy to get, and against anything without a massive anything without a huge like toughness characteristic or a 2+ save, these guys can actually chunk a huge amount of damage into them. The other thing too is we get Righteous Vengeance. So if you've lost a model, you can not only get that +1 to hit, but you also reroll your hit rolls, which triggers more sustained hits. So against anything that you're gaining the bonus again, the +1 to hit bonus against, you could go absolutely crazy. If you are ever in a position to get your wound rerolls as well, you're already pretty solid. And then I believe the Ministorum Priest, I think, unlocks your +1 to wound early. I'm going to verify that because all the priests do something different. Yeah, so they don't in this list, because we're running 3 Ministorum Priests, the priests themselves are actually kind of sweet because they hit pretty hard. And once they're leading in it, they get +1 to wound also. So they have 6 2-damage melee attacks with +1 to wound. But they will also unlock +1 to wound on the unit before you end up, before you need it, like before you lose too many models. So as long as you're down 1 model, which is not unlikely, you can hit on 3s, hit reroll, sustained hits, and +1 to wound. So you wound on, at worst, 5s, but probably 4s with upwards of 60 attacks. So you're like probably basically full converting those attacks into those hits into wounds, and then you're sending your opponent like 20+ saves, or 30+ saves usually, which is enough to kill like even just like a T9 like 3+ save vehicle. You'll probably chunk them for like 10 to 12 damage. With just that like that one effect alone, effectively, assuming you've lost 1 unit for sure. Which is cool. We've got Morven Vol, Palatine with 3 Suffering Strength, so we punch good with her as well. Go back to our detachment abilities here. We've got the Triumph of St. Catherine. That's an interesting one. I think that we can make the Arco-Flagellants even faster. Does she also unlock +1 AP in melee? Yes. Melee weapons +1 AP. So we can, if we unlock 2 relics, we can do +2 move, +1 to advance and charge rolls. So the Arco unit, I think, is move 7, right? My phone's ringing in my ears, but I don't know where it is right now. It's on my Bluetooth. So it's move 7, so they go to 9, and then you get +1 to charge. So they're essentially move 10. So your average threat range is like 17 inches. And if we have rhinos, we can disembark from a rhino. So it actually goes up to like a 20-inch movement, 20-inch threat range off of the rhino's hull. And we also have a Sanctifier unit, so we can scout the rhino forward as well. So all that's put together can make these things hit so far above their weight class, right? We could be +1 to hit, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, full hit rerolls if we've lost a model, and +1 AP and a movement bonus to get them into that melee as well. Which is nuts, chat. That's crazy. The Sacrosanct unit, it's interesting where that's going to go. It's probably with the Palatine, I imagine. Sometimes we see the Palatine with like a a combat squad unit, but we don't have combat squads here, so I imagine she's with the Sacrosancts. So you can usually survive pretty far and then get her to Righteous Vengeance in the late game, because it's hard to kill that whole unit through the -1 to wound. We have a Dialogus, we have Judith Arowita generating some command points in the background, plus we have a Saintly Example Null Rod Canoness. Nice thing here is that Saintly Example obviously gives you tokens, or Miracle Dice, excuse me, when you die. You okay there, Inky? You all right? Yeah, you're key. Bye. You get D3 of Miracle Dice when you die in addition to the one that you get normally. And she could get a once per game 2+ invulnerable save. Plus you can bring her back to life with Divine Intervention. So the way to kill her really easily is with Mortal Wounds. If you have grenades, or if you have flyover mortals, or whatever. However, the Null Rod gives her a 4+ fail no pain against that stuff. So it's actually really inconsistent that you kill her with like a random grenade. She can pop her 2+ invulnerable save, and instead of being able to mortal wound her to kill her and flip her over and then kill her on the charge, you oftentimes can't kill her either with impact mortals or with ranged attack mortals, and then you have to kill her in the fight phase, and then she just respawns and she's out of melee, so you can continue to perform actions with her on the subsequent turn. So this little combination is great. I think that a lot of people immediately take like the Brazier on her, so she does more damage, but the Null Rod's actually crazy in a lot of matchups where they're relying on like Tank Shock or something to get through the invulnerable save, and she's like, nah. I simply will not take it. And then anytime you want to engage with any of these units, so we have these like basically 3 huge bricks between the Arco-Flagellants and the Sacrosancts, all of whom can get delivered by the Rhino if they need to. Then we have the Demonifuge, the classic Demonifuge combo, where you can rapid ingress the Demonifuge, heroically intervene them into something charging you, and then you use Suffering and Sacrifice to absorb attacks for that unit. Your opponent must select the Demonifuge as the target of their attacks. They kill the Demonifuge, and you just bring Aphriel Stern back with Divine Intervention anyway, and then you do it again. Plus, they have Fight First, so if they heroically intervene into something, they're always going to swing first, so you're probably killing a couple bottles to begin with. Then your opponent has to sink a lot of their attacks into the Demonifuge. You don't even lose the whole Demonifuge because you'll pay OCP to bring them back, and then you just keep going. You keep trucking. You probably kill them on the crackback with the actual unit they charged. So really aggressive, just like a ton of these like hyper aggro like melee units. We do have a Paragon Warseed squad for some shooting, plus a Retributor squad for some late game as well, because you're gonna lose a bunch of units. So it's fine. And that's what's going on. Seems good, chat. I wonder if the last Minotaur Priest here, I believe they join the Sanctifiers and they get bonuses, right? Because you gain 6-inch scout if they're joined by a Minotaur Priest. So you can scout the Rhino, and then you have, if you trigger the plus movement from the Triumph of St. Catherine, you actually have kind of a long threat range off the top. Goodbye, cat. Because you can scout 6 inches forward, disembark, move 8. So we've moved 17, and then you can charge a +1 with a Miracle Dice potentially. So you can turn 1 charge people with this unit that's shooting 1,000,000 flamers, and then also has a bunch of attacks, and gains sustained hits when it's joined by the priest, and the priest will also give them +1 to wound as well. That's something. I don't know. You can GL people pretty well with that. I don't know if that's actually the case, if that's actually what we're doing, or I can't imagine we're joining a Minotaur Priest to 3 Arco-Flagellants. So I bet it's for the Sanctifier squad. The 3 Arco-Flagellants is usually just a really, really efficient utility unit. Because they just like, they're 45 points and you run them around and they're 2 wounds with a feel no pain. Sometimes they don't even die on the crackback, which is always nice. Sometimes you joined 2 to Arcos, 1 to Sanks. Cool. Sometimes they were just solo. Yeah, I guess that is relevant. Because they could just, you could have a million actions. If there's like nothing that the Arco-Flagellants really want to sink their teeth into, or they don't need +1 to wound, then you're just like, I don't know. Like, I'm playing against a T3 enemy army. Like, all right, I'll just rock in and use the priests as individual utility so I don't have to commit the bricks. That makes sense. That's cool. Assassinate isn't real. I mean, unironically, it's not. as a fixed secondary, who's going to take assassination against this detachment? It's very It's like oftentimes because you can hide the priest and you can hide the Demonofuge and even maybe the Canonist too. A lot of times you can, and like it's not that great of a chance you're going to lose the Triumph for Morvenval. You're not even giving that much of an assassination if they take it as fixed, and then they have to take a second objective. Like, what the fuck are you taking? It's not like you're not going to screen your backline. You have enough utility, especially if you're hiding your characters, that you can't take like behind enemy lines or engage very effectively. You could take like, I don't know, Established Locus, but that doesn't seem very good. And then you don't get command point generation out of tactical secondaries anyway. Feels like a bad opportunity, chat. So your opponents, you give up 90 points on Assassinate and they still refuse to take it? Yeah. The only time it's worth it is if you give up both Assassinate and Bring It Down and they actually have the capacity to kill you, and you don't. So who cares? You're like, I have 3 vehicles. What are you going to do? I guess you have 4, technically. 4, but a bunch of them have really tiny wound characteristics. Is that right? No, 3. 1, 2. Oh, it is only 3. No, I was correct. Unless Judith is Judith a vehicle? No, she's mounted, right? She is mounted. Yeah. Good. Good stuff. All right, Chance. Well, this list is cool as hell. Very much cooler than a lot of the, like, we see a very, I mean, there's a common through line for a lot of the Sororitas lists, which is like, it's like, I have some immolators and utility stuff, and then we back up with Retributors in the back line, and then you always take Morvenval, and clearly you always take Morvenval, but this list is way more aggro, and I think that's more fun anyway. Speaking of Adepta Sororitas, chat, we're going to be watching Kianton Ash C from T5S2 playing in a finals game tomorrow. We're not going to be doing a normal Tactical Tuesday tomorrow, but we will watch a T5S2 finals game in place of that. I think that will be over on Twitch. I don't think I'm moving that over to YouTube anytime soon, although we could try it. We'll think about it. I don't know. Well, I'll definitely have a long hard thought about it, but at the very least, we'll stream it over on Twitch at the around the same time, probably a little bit later than we would typically start Tactical Tuesday. It is on my calendar, but that is what we're going to be doing. All right, Chance. Arco-Flagellant's always been great, for sure. They've just been underplayed, I think, underrepresented. We streamed actually at the Tennessee Elite Open singles event. I believe we caught a penitent host list, which was like almost went the distance. It lost like to a weird matchup. It was like Purge versus like, I can't remember the matchup. It was like really weirdly, like had some like really bad profile matchups, but it was very close to winning into a very disadvantaged position, which would have been sick. All right, Chant. Let's talk about, am I starting the next TEO in April? That is, I believe, on the calendar. I believe that I did talk to Frank, and I believe I'm on the calendar for that one. Let's talk about Thousand Suns, Chance. Let's hop over to Brad Bouchard, who is playing not Grand Coven. I did just complain about how Grand Coven is the I guess, mechanically advantaged detachment to play because of its synergy with your detachment ability. In this case, we're playing Hexwarp Thrallband, which is great because I have very little idea of how this works. So this is the detachment where you get a flow of magic based on your control of objectives in the no man's land. You get reroll wound rolls of 1 unless you are in a zone you control, and then you lose your wound rerolls of 1. And you gain +1 to wound on psychic attacks. It's a weird one. It's a super weird one. The strange thing too is like there's like so much anti-synergy in this attachment, which I think people like threw people off. It gives you wound rerolls of 1 as a baseline, but it like that doesn't work on brain units because they already have it. And then it gives you +1 to wound on psychic attacks, but it doesn't recalculate. Well, first of all, that's anti-synergistic with a Rhino if you already have a Rhino. But B, it doesn't recalculate until the end of the phase. So if you temporal search to take objectives, it doesn't actually give you +1 to wound. until the end of the shooting phase. There's so much like weird shit with this attachment that's bizarre. However, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do. For example, we have a standard Demon Prince of Tzeentch, so we do have bonuses to our casting values off of that guy. He has Empowered Manifestation, so while you're inside Flow of Magic, which means your deployment zone or another zone you control,
sounds fun. Going to try mine out
you add 6 inches to the range of your psychic abilities, including Kabbalistic Rituals. And you can re-roll the results for hazardous checks, which I don't think matters for him because I don't think he empowers his attack at all. But extra 6 inches of range is good. Each time you lose a Psyker next to him, he's going to power up, so he gets bonuses to cast those powers as well. So he's like a little baby Magnus. He's just a little guy who can give you a cast at +2 with extra range, which is very nice for more consistent ritualing. We have a Terminator Sorcerer with Empiric Onslaught, which is extra attacks for his ranged weapons. And the Terminator Sorcerer has a 2 damage anti-monster, anti-vehicle devastating attack. So doubling the attack characteristic of that means that this guy's probably good for like 6 mortal wounds to the most monsters and vehicles. Actually, unironically scary. However, you have to be in Flow of Magic to get the bonus. Also, it buffs his melee attacks to you, I think. Oh no, it's ranged psychic weapons. Just kidding. Couldn't possibly be melee attacks to you. We then have 2 more Terminator Sorcerers. Okay. Sick. We have a Chaos Spawn, a Mutolith Vortex Beast, 3 units of Scarab called Terminators, 10 mans, or 2 10-mans and a 5. Sekitar Robots ×3. So that's nice because we have forward presence on, I guess they're not like high OC, but they are at least, they're OC1. I was going to say, like, at least they're 4 OC. I thought they were OC 2. These guys, they're 40 points a model. Are they really OC 1? Who wrote this unit? Fucking holy shit. Okay. Why are they OC 1 chat? That's stupid. But at least you have forward presence that you can take objectives without resorting to Kabbalistic Rituals so that you can flip control of the mid-board when you deep strike in your Scarab Cult Terminators. And then you get +1 to wound on all your psychic ranged attacks. Weird thing though is like if you're shooting the devastating weapons, so like the anti-vehicle shots from the Terminator Sorcerers, the +1 wound actually isn't that useful because it doesn't change your critical effect. So I don't know, man. I guess you could purposefully try not to. No, you want to be in the bonus area because you want the extra attacks for Empiric Onslaught. But like getting reroll 1s to wound on the ranged attacks from these guys is actually okay because like reroll 1s to wound into devastating anti-vehicle 4 is okay. But the problem is you lose the rerolls as soon as you as soon as you go into the Flow of Magic. So you're actually worse. I don't know. People who wrote this codex are just like absolutely insane. This, in fairness, is Grotsmith before the codex came out, but it was like, why is there so much anti-synergy? It doesn't make sense. We have 2 units of Zangors there as well. I think I guess like we could get Ignore Cover on our bolters, which is good. And you get Fight on Death. It's pretty good. You get Obsec, so you can Obsec the objectives with the Sekitar robots after you infiltrate onto them. That's okay. You can 6-inch deep strike into Flow of Magic, so you get better positioning, which is good because they have to get the what's the word? I lost my train of thought. The rapid fire with their bolter guns, their bolter shooting. And you can shoot declare charge to the turn of which you fell back, which is actually that's the reason you take this one versus Risen Rubrique, which is usually where you play a build like this. But the problem is that as soon as you have Risen Rubrique also has the stratagem, I guess, to fall back and do stuff. But the Scarab Cult Terminators in general, like super bad once you engage them. So having a Fight on Death and a fall back and shoot at least allows you, if your opponent engages multiple of your units, you can actually like do things with more than one of them. Whereas if you get engaged, especially with high toughness stuff, if you get engaged with multiple Scarab Cult units in Risen Rubrique, sometimes the game just ends immediately. I will not be the first one, however, to say that I'm not 100% sure how this army works because I've never seen a Hexwarp Thrallband with 25 Scarab Cult Terminators play in person. So I don't know if I'm ever from the biggest one. Oh, Chef on Fire, thank you for the super chat. I totally didn't even get the notification. I think the phone call messed up my headset, maybe. Gonna try yours out of Cherokee? Yeah, I'm playing. So I have mine ready because I've been streaming. It's so funny that came out because I literally spent. I streamed. I played 2 games on Saturday. I played like 3, I think, or 4 games in total last week. Stress testing different Harridan builds to play in the Captain Con GT next week, and and then immediately the Harridan came out with a win. I was like, what the fuck? That's so funny. But yeah, I think, unironically, I don't think it's like top tier. And there's definitely a bunch of stat profiles that you're like, I hope I don't see that. If you're ever like T12 with like strong saves and -1 damage or something, you're just like, well, I guess I'll go fuck myself. Like super hard defense skews. Like, I don't know if the Harridan can deal with it, or like lots of low and out stuff you can't shoot at. That's really bad too. Or I think just like Tau, because he just comes in, he kills a Riptide, and then he dies. It's also not great. However, I think there's a lot of armies that they can't deal with him. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of cool. My cam frozen? Doesn't look like it. The OBSEC is Psyker only? Oh, geez, is it? Oh, it did freeze. What the fuck, chat? All my attachments are messed up. Let me restart it. Do not enjoy playing against 28 Scarab Terminators on Purge the Foe. Disgusting. Just kill them. What do you mean? What do you mean? Just kill them. All right, where were we at? We were looking at the objective secured. Sorry about the technical difficulties, chat. I have no idea what happened there. This is warding hex. Oh yeah,
Johnny 5,470.
Yeah, but I guess you could like
donated $4.99 through Super
Ingress
Chat.
and then Obsec him.
What do you think the chances are we get a Super Tough Soul Forged detachment?
At least we're not Grand Coven where you need to bank 100 CP to make what's the word? Magnus do good stuff. Moving on. I guess there's more Thousand Suns. Pavel Samsonov. Johnny 5477. Thank you for the super chat. Also, literally didn't care it. There's definitely something broken on my stream here, chat. I don't know what it is. Let me refresh my thing and make sure that it's set correctly. My headphones are working. My headset's working. It's set. Oh, okay. I think I know what happened. What do you think of the chances we get a souped up Soul Force attachment with new Iron Warriors character in campaign? I don't know if I would expect a Soul Forged attachment. I know like Iron Warriors are like Demon Engine guys, but that feels like a Vashtor kind of thing. And I think that's what Soul Forge that's what Soul Forge is like explicitly supposed to be trying to do. I would expect to see a new vehicle detachment though. I think that would be interesting. The the quote unquote Iron Warriors detachment right now, the Fellhammer Siege House, is like basically just the heavy infantry detachment, which is like, I don't know if that fits the theme quite as much, but like I would love to see a detachment that focuses on like Vindicators and stuff. I think that'd be cool. Which I think is sweet. All right, moving back. Let's talk about is it more Hexwarp Thrallband? Oh, this one's spicy as hell. I love this list, by the way. I think we've talked about this list on stream before. I think this is how I would play Thousand Suns if I went back to that faction. These lists are cool as fuck. So, because the Siege Demon Princes get a bunch of psychic attacks. Let's grab the Thousand Suns version. The Thousand Suns one's like weirdly kind of strangely different than the regular Demon Prince incarnations. So their melee attack gets the psychic keyword, so it gets whatever psychic bonuses you would normally have. So it gets reroll 1s, and it gets the +1 to wound if you're in flow of magic. So suddenly, it's like strength 8 AP2, kind of mediocre thing. Once you get a permanent +1 to wound, suddenly you're wounding everything on like 4s or 2s. And you're like, oh, well, this is pretty good. Also makes your sweep attack kind of sweet. Strength 6 +1 to wound means you like UNT4 on 2s. So you can swing into like Orc Boys and you win them on 2s. Let's go. Plus, it works on your ranged attack too. So each one of these guys is shooting 9 sustained hits 1, strength 4 AP 1 +1 to wound. You're running everything on 5s or better with ignore cover. So you're putting most things on like a 4+-ish save. So each one of these guys is actually has the capacity to start denting into tanks and stuff. Already, we're off to a good start. We have a foot Demon Prince, so we could get the empowered casting once our other stuff starts dying in the late game. We have the winged Demon Prince with Arcane Might. Go back to our detachment here. Then is +1 strength to your psychic weapon. So again, it puts the little gun up to strength 5, the sword up to strength 9. While you're wholly within flow of magic, you get +2 strength instead. So you get strength 6 on the cast, on the power, the cast, and then strength 10 on the sword. And once you're in flow of magic, you're +1 to wound with all his attacks too. So his sword starts wounding tanks on like 2s or 3s. Pretty awesome. And then we have one with Noctilith Mantle, which is you always consider to be in flow of magic. So he permanently gets +1 to wound on all of his attacks besides his cannon. However, can't cast rituals. Oh, dang. I wonder if we'll cast rituals with the dozen of other ritual casters in the army. So already kind of spicy. We just have a bunch of dudes. They can hop in. You could, like, for example, use the 6-inch deep strike on like one of these two guys. Jump in with like either plus bonus strength on your spell cast or +1 to wound permanently on your spell cast. Use the sustain D3, blast some people off objectives or whatever, or you could rapid ingress them, get some work done. It's very flexible with all the winged demon princes. We then have a sorcerer with Empiric Onslaught, so the +3 attacks while you're in flow of magic. The sorcerer has sustained hits 3 on his gun, so the 3 extra attacks also get sustained hits. They have a potential to turn those into, potentially up to 9 additional attacks. Unlikely, but very possible. We then have a Terminator Sorcerer as well. 1 Rubric Marine Squad for the Sorcerer to go into. 2 Mutalith Vortex Beasts, plus the Scarab called Terminators hold down the midboard. Chaos Spawn for utility. We have early objective control from the Secretary Robots, Double Zangors for utility as well. I love these Demon Prince lists, chat. I think these lists are cool as fuck. Just the ability to get like a permanent, it's basically like the +1 to wound in a lot of cases, the +1 to wound doctrine for Grand Coven, but you just get it all the time for free as long as you can maintain objective control, which ideally you're going to be able to do. And if your opponent doesn't have efficient backline screening, then you either get a rapid ingress or a 6-inch deep strike to threaten their home objective, and then you can start to flow of magic in their deployment zone, and that's where things goes crazy. So this is my favorite version of these. I love these weird Demon Prince builds. They're always so cool for 10,000 suns. That's pretty nice. Oh my god, my fucking camera died again. All right, chat. Give me a sec here. I'm gonna go back to the why do you lose rerolls? It does say instead. I don't know what you're talking about, chat. It literally says it. I can highlight it for you. Right here. That's the word instead. It's the last word in the sentence. Let me fix my camera here. I'm gonna restart it. Oh man, everyone's leaving now. All right, give me 1 sec, chat. let's go with that. Hopefully that works. Yeah, so this camera... Oh, excuse me. This camera works, but this camera seems like it's glitching out really bad. But we just turned it off and then turned it back on. Hopefully that's good enough. Unfortunate. We didn't use the sacred oils. Yeah. I love that there's like a meme that goes around social media right now. It goes around like TikTok, where it's like a guy doing the Adeptus Mechanicus like chant, and he puts like wax seals on like a toaster oven or something to like make a pizza. I love that. That's so good. That's what I got to be doing before every stream. I'm already late on my streams because I do so many other things. But I guess maybe if that makes things better. All right, chat. That's a lot of discussion about cool ass Thousand Suns lists. Actually, double Hexwarp Ultramarines is insane, and one of them being Mass Demon Prince is actually super cool. So I'm actually really glad we talked about that stuff. I would be interested to see if there are any cool lists. There is a Creations of Bile. Want to talk about that? From Daniel Knight at X&1, 5-1, running Abadabadubadon plus Prime Test Subject Chaos Lord, Cypher, the Graham Hand himself, plus a Master of Executions, plus a Traitor Enforcer. We would call it this mob a Rhino to usually get to. Whoa! Just realized I was like, usually the Rhinos for Bile's unit. We didn't bring Bile. We left him at home. What the fuck? That's crazy. That means you lose the rerolls on your ability. You're just raw dogging it. We're just going in raw, chat. Hopefully I get the shit that's good. That's incredible. All right. I did not expect. We have 2 big Chosen units and 2 big Possessed units and 1 big Warp Talon unit. So we've chosen probably for the Chaos Lord, I imagine. And for Abaddon, maybe? And Master of Executions? Like, is he useful if he's not inside the unit? This is wild. It's blowing my mind right now. What is the normal stance of Master of Executions is like reroll hits, right? Yeah, somebody's not attaching. It could be Abaddon, I guess, but I feel like you want Abaddon with the advance in charge. So I don't know. Isn't that Master of Executions? He's just oops. Great. I have to. The problem is that these all have the same name. I would love, as much as I would love for sub factions to be broken into different codexes. So I do like it that they've done it with Chaos Space Marines now. I would maybe prefer if they called their units something different when they were identical. Yeah, so it's reroll hits below targeting enemies below starting strength, reroll wounds if they're below half strength. You gain CP when you destroy character models. I guess like the Chaos Lord can just run by himself, I guess, right? Because he doesn't like really have a leadership ability. He just gets the stratagem discount, which he could just use on himself, I guess. And he doesn't get a huge benefit from the Chosen. So like we could just hit people with him, I suppose. Fascinating. That's so interesting. Mo can double attach? Wait, he can? What? Ah, you're so correct. He can attach with anything besides another Master of Execution. What? Wait, I had no idea. I did not know that was a mechanic whatsoever. I'm learning so many new things these days. That's what it is. Since this guy lost Fight First, I've never seen him one time. That's crazy. So you could dual attach him with like Abaddon to give Abaddon hit rerolls and sustain hits? Huh. Who knew? Not me. I'm learning. The Abaddon unit can't go in the Rhino, though, so we have a unit for the Rhino, and the double Possessed plus a Warp Talent squad. This list is insane. This is unhinged. Was it good? I don't know. I guess, like, Chosen and Possessed are both good for the entire, basically any of the Creations of Bile buffs. So That's probably okay, I guess. And you just run them at people, and you have a 4+ invuln save because of Abaddon, and you hope for the best. You could do like minus with a hit, right? On any of these guys, so it could be 4+ invuln save from Abaddon plus a -1 to hit. That's probably not too bad. That's certainly something. Yeah, big old stat check. Yeah, that seems cool. I like it, Chance. All right. I think we are probably coming up to the end of the stream here. So if anyone wants to take a peek at any other factions from these majors this weekend, I would be happy to take a peek, and then we'll probably wrap things up. I have a meeting after this, but as a reminder, I will be live this afternoon over on Twitch. Let me put my Twitch into the chat so y'all can follow me. Here you go. Kabalite Cartel Drukhari. I can't necessarily look at particular detachments, Chance, because I would have to look through every single result from every from that faction in order to find the particular detachment you want. But I can look at specific faction results. Personally, I haven't seen any Kabalite Cartel Drukhari do well. To be fair, but I don't know if well is a broad spectrum. Do you want to see Deathwatch? Deathwatch did win a GT this week with a Terminator unit, which is cool. Terminator Librarian even. Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights did okay. There was a X and 2 at Wet Coast, and there was a 5, 3, and 1. There were 2 5, 3, 1s. Here's the X and 2 from Wet Coast GT. It's an Infernal Lance with a Lancer and a Tyrant. That's cool. Hi, kitty. The Tyrant has bestial aspects that gives him assault, plus a bunch of war dogs. We do have a billion Nurglings. Usually we use the 6 Nurglings to movement block turn 1. That lets you position the Tyrant more aggressively because you can ensure that your opponent can't get line of sight to it. I guess the Lancer as well. So you basically like physically block off areas of the battlefield where your opponent's guns could move to see the Knights, and then the Knights get to position more aggressively than they would normally be able to do. So if you're like, you're one player set up their guns to approach out of a pocket, so that there's like one space where they can place their gun or whatever so they can see, and you just put a Nurgling there, then they can't move there, so they can't shoot you. So these guys are good for like turn 1 GL strategies, and then you get to move more freely on the subsequent turns. That's pretty sweet. There's a Canoptek Court list. Yeah, so I didn't put that in the best art race video because the player who ran it, we can talk about the list here, that's fine. But the player who ran it has kind of a rep. And so I didn't necessarily want to get involved if it ended up being a case where that was not a legitimately earned 5-0, I guess. But we can talk about the list. That was from Wishing. I have made videos about this person in the past, though, which is always, always tough. So there's a Canoptek Court list with 2 Catan shards plus Necrons Imitar. It is like, it's sad that so many lists just start with this. It's like half of your army is already pre-built because these characters are so pushed. It's like wild. I guess Sarah is to a lesser extent, but he's still very useful. Necrons Imitar, though, is just like, oh boy. Why does he have so many rules? Why does he do so many things? The awkward part, I guess, is that like this ability is largely useless because most of the stuff he's protecting is a field of pain anyway. It's just Necrons have so many field of pains, it doesn't matter that much. So it's Nightbringer, Void Dragon, Seraz, plus Necrons Imitar, triple Plasmancer, so we get to extended criticals with one with Dimensional Sanctum. That gives you infiltration, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I covered Canoptek Court. It's definitely cool, though. The downside is it has no... I believe it's literally no synergy with the Catan shards at all. It does have synergy with Saraz because he is Cryptek, so he gets the rerolls. But the rest of the list, I believe, or the rest of this stuff is not. That said, once you attach these characters into a unit, they become Cryptek units, so they get the access to the rerolls. So this gives you like a zone control effect, where if you control an area, you get reroll ones all the time on your Cryptek and Canoptek units. If you control an area, you get full hit rerolls. If you put a Plasmancer into a squad of Immortals, the Immortals will give themselves wound rerolls targeting enemies on objectives, and you give them enhanced critical effects with the Plasmancer and hit rerolls if you control the zone. The implicit synergy, it's not explicit, it's implicit, between the Catan shards and these guys is that the Catan shards are extremely good at taking table space in the early game. So you can push them into the mid board and you can clear objectives and you can prevent your opponent from wanting to come attack the objectives because you have a fight first heroic intervener who can rapid ingress in as well. So that gives you objective control, and then the Immortals can key off because they can get their hit rerolls unlocked. So they hit reroll into 5-up critical, so you fish for critical hits. All the Gauss Blasters are, I believe they're AP2 lethal hits, and then you can give them ignore cover as well with Solar Pulse. We have a bunch of Tube Crawlers to make them harder to kill, and also gives them, I think, ignore hit modifiers too, which is nice. Plus an Ophidian unit for to Uppy Downy and Reanimator as well. So it's just a bunch of Immortals, which are like high OC infantry and just like very efficient. They can all get the AP bonus too because they're battle lines, so they sit next to Saraz and they get +1 AP as well. So they go to, I think they're AP, I want to say they're AP2 base. So they go to AP3 ignore cover. Range weapon. Oh, it's AP1. So they go to AP2 ignore cover, excuse me, once they're next to Illuminor Saraz with lethal hits. It's only 20 shots, but you throw enough lethal hits at something, eventually you'll kill it. And then, obviously, you have 2 Catan shards and a bunch of really efficient characters that could beat the crap out of people. It's cool stuff. It's pretty cool. Any Votann performances? Take a peek. There was an X and 2 at Adelaide. And also an X and 2 at West Coast. We'll talk about the Adelaide one. Troy Dyson. With Brandfast. Cool. Brandfast Oathband with a Brokir Iron Masher with Trivarg Cyber Implant, excuse me. That's the enhanced sustained hits in your vehicle, I believe. That is, when you disembark a transport or you spend yield points, you gain sustain 2 instead of sustain 1. Because normally the detachment is when you're wholly within 6 inches of a transport, you get sustained 1. So it improves your sustain characteristic. Utho the Destined for free strats, double Capricus Carrier, a billion Brokir Thunderkin. The SP conversion beamers, I guess, are pretty effective here. Because they get enhanced criticals, and then you could get sustained hits too. So it's basically the combo with Ancestral Sentence from Needguard Oathband, but you just get it for free basically if you attach the Iron Master into them. So it's the 6 conversion beamers with 5-up critical lethal sustain, sustain 2, just kind of on a roll. We have Chthonian Earthshakers. It's kind of interesting. I guess they are infantry. So they could get the sustain. Einhir Hearthguard, Hecatan Land Fortresses, Hernkin Pioneers ×2, Jaegers ×2. The nice thing there is that, so the Land Fortresses are transports, so they unlock the ability. The Capricus Carriers also unlock the ability, but they don't need to be transporting the unit that you apply it to. So they can run around. They can even like shoot and scoot to apply the sustained effect to different units. So they're very good at doing it, even if they can't transport the units they're giving the bonus to. And then we have Vulcanite, Disintegrator, Ironkin, Steeljacks, and double melee weapon Ironkin, Steeljacks. All 3-man units, just to bully, to fight for objectives. That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, could go over your 4-1 World Leaders list. Which event was that in? It's very utility heavy. Yeah, it's a. I mean, it's you basically might as well take the double Jaegers. I think Jaegers are like always just going to be good. You're almost never upset that you took Hernkin Jaegers probably. So you're like, I'll spend an extra 90 points to get another 2 units to go into the second Capricus carrier. But you want the Capricus carrier to be, like sustained hits applicators from wherever, right? And then getting an additional 2 utility units with that feels pretty strong. I'm interested in the Earthshakers. I guess people have really good success with Earthshakers. So I guess it is what it is. Oh, there's a Hearthguard unit too. That probably hops out of a Land Fortress, I imagine. Yeah. Earthshakers are very durable home holders. Battle Shotgun -1 is nice. Yeah, turning off like Overwatch especially, I think seems like pretty solid. Although maybe not for that list in particular. I don't know how much that's charging. But just like being able to complete secondaries by knocking people off Battle Shock. Trying to find the World Eaters list, chat. I have no idea which event it's supposed to be in. All right, I'm gonna give up. I give up. Can I link the list? Yeah, I can send the link to it. It's from the it's from Uprising as Adelaide, but I think if you don't have a BCP subscription, you probably wouldn't be able to get the link. But I'll just scroll through it again so you can see it if you want to take it down. This will be for posterity. Here you go. Here's the scroll. And then if you want to just revisit and rebuild it in your own list builder, then you can do that too. Ta-da! There it is. All right, chat. I'm going to go ahead and I think hop off. So thanks for chilling with me, everybody. This is a good one. It was a weird weekend of events, especially in this area. We had a couple of major level events that got canceled actually because of the snowstorms. I know at the very least, the U.S. War Masters event, which is supposed to give a free ride to WTC, did not happen, which is very sad because they ended up being likely snowed out, so they ended up canceling last minute. So unfortunate. And then obviously we had like weird scheduling stuff with the Uprising and Wet Coast, but I'm glad we were able to talk about them today. And I love the results from both of these events because they were super off meta. We saw some Ultramarines, but it was like weird Ultramarines with Infernus Marines, and also crazy stuff from Wet Coast GT where we have, Grey Knights and Adepta Sororitas doing well, plus like mass Demon Prince Thousand Sons. That's cool as hell. So I'm excited about that chance. With that, I'm going to hop off. As a reminder, don't forget, I will be live. I will drop the link once again. I will be live on Twitch in a little while, not immediately, but in a little bit. We're going to play some more Harry Dan Tyranids, and we're going to have a great time. So please come hang out with me for that. I will see you over there on the Purple Channel. Keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming and stuff. There will be no Tactical Tuesday tomorrow because instead we're going to back-to-back stream games over on Twitch. So if you want a full day of 40K over there, please come hang out with me. We're starting at 9 a.m., I think, U.S. Eastern Time. We're basically streaming essentially all the way through, close to all the way through. I think we'll take a break in the middle through till about maybe 5 p.m. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be good some. So I'm excited. come hang out with me for that. Also, we'll talk about some stuff on Wednesday for Warhamster Wednesday, and then I am going to take a break because I am going to be playing all weekend at the Captain Con GT next week, which will be fun. If you are at Captain Con, by the way, please come hang out with me on Friday. I'm going to be in the demo area all game, demoing Breachstorm. So if you want to come hang out with me and you want to learn about the game and talk shit, then that's what we'll be. I think we'll probably end up having some co-op games going and likely also open demos as well. So cheers. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I'll see you there. Keep it classy, folks.